Please try this on a small scale before you do it full scale. I'm just going to run through the basics quick as I can. This is just a concept or an idea of how you can keep yourself supplied in bread for a week or 10 days or possibly up to about 15 days under ideal conditions if you couldn't get bread from the store. If your life was a little bit hectic, you may not want to be spending your time making bread. You could use your supplies for other things like pancakes and muffins and things that take less time. But if you wanted bread over a period of a week, 10 days, possibly up to 14 or 15 days, this is an idea that I want you to try on a small scale before you do the whole thing, but just an idea. Try it with a batch of 2 or 3 loaves of bread first. And if that works out good for you, then you can move on to a larger scale. The concept, the idea is, let's say we'll start with 3 loaves of bread. On a perfectly normal day when nothing's wrong with the world that you can put your finger on that has any effect on you anyway, go to your kitchen, make up a batch of bread dough. You could try this with a French bread dough if you wanted to, because that's a pretty easy one to do. It doesn't take much time or energy at all to do that. And get it to the point where you're forming the dough into loaves, and then you can spray it with a little bit of non-stick spray, or you can put a little oil on your hands as you form it, or you put a little butter on your hands and form it into loaves. You don't want it to be rising at that point. You can wrap it in foil, you can wrap it in food wrap, you could put it in a Ziploc type bag or a regular baggie, and put it into the shape that you want it to be in when it rises to bake. But you don't want it to rise. You just want to slap it, punch it down, punch the rise down, form it into a loaf, put it in some kind of protective wrap, and put it directly in the freezer. Now, what you might want to do after 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, is take it out of the freezer, make sure it didn't continue to rise after it went in the freezer before it got really cold, and slap it back down into shape, and then let it freeze frozen solid at that point. You might want to try it with a loaf or 2 first, and then what you're going to do is check it. You're going to let it stay in there for a day or 2 or 3 or 10, whatever, and take it out. And it's like the commercially prepared bread dough that you can buy at the store that you just let it rise and bake. It's the same concept. And I used to take that out in the morning for an early evening meal. So it's going to probably take some, depending on the temperature in your house, it's probably going to take somewhere between 3.5 to 7 hours to rise completely. At that point, if it rises properly and you bake it and it works fine and you get satisfactory results with the bread, then you could go on and make yourself 10 or 12 or 15 or however many loaves you want to, and keep it in your freezer. Then, with the teachings in the video about organizing your freezer for a power outage, you could spread that dough out throughout your freezer, especially if you have one bigger than just the one that's attached to your fridge, or if you have a spare freezer in the garage attached to a fridge, or if you have a full-size freezer, whatever you have. You can take 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 or however many loaves of bread and put it in your boxes with your other your component boxes, the word I was looking for before, that has an assortment of food in it. It may have a container of juice, it may have a pound of hamburger, it may have a package of chicken, it may have a package of cheese, a package of lunch meat, it may have this frozen bread dough in it. So when you open your freezer in a power outage and you pull out your block of ice and your cold component that you're then going to transfer that into a cooler, like we discussed in the video about blocks of ice, then, and you're going to keep it cold, then you could take the bread dough at that point and put it out to thaw and to rise, and then bake it. In a power outage, if you don't have a gas oven, you may want to use a charcoal grill. You may want to experiment with that. I'm going to do some experiments this summer with a charcoal grill and the gas flame, propane flame, and I think I'm going to try the buddy burners in the charcoal grill and see how that works. And I think I might also try the charcoal grill with some charcoal in it to see what I can do about baking bread, because I have not gone down that pathway yet. I'd kind of like to try it out before I would need to use it on a repeated basis. The other thing that I should have put in a separate video and may possibly do later, if you use, I have a couple, 2 or 3 buckets, 5-gallon buckets of charcoal, and I intend to get some more this summer. If you use charcoal for baking or for cooking, and obviously if you're done cooking and the charcoal is red hot and has white ash on it, you don't want to let it burn out because you're wasting the fuel. So make sure you either can pour water on your charcoal or drip water on your charcoal, or have a spray bottle of water that you can make the charcoal stop burning, and it will dry out of its own accord, and then you can relight it again for another fire. That is the end of this video, and if I can remember what it was about long enough, I'll put a title on it. Have a great day. Bye.